Olá, bem-vindos a mais uma Osteotalks. Desta vez vamos falar com o professor Dr. Jorgen, não me atrevo a dizer o apelido, e vamos falar sobre o sistema primário vascular, ou o sistema Primovascular. Não é muito comum ouvir-se falar de um sistema novo. Ouvimos isto há uns anos, quando saiu um artigo no público sobre um novo sistema, o interstício, em que se falava da importância do interstício e do tecido conectivo. Que hoje em dia se fala-se de faixa, mas na verdade estamos a falar do tecido conectivo, e é assim que devemos falar da faixa, e diferenciar a faixa pelo tecido conectivo e a profundidade e a especificidade das características de vários tecidos conectivos, mas falou-se num novo sistema, o sistema intersticial, e na importância que tem o interstício pelas suas propriedades de colagênio, fibroblastos, células imunitárias, etc., e como isso interferia então com a fisiologia normal dos vários sistemas, e o novo sistema descoberto, começou-se a falar em 2002, mas na verdade na década de 60 houve um cientista coreano que foi o primeiro a falar sobre este sistema primário vascular, e que tem saído várias publicações, e o Dr. Jorgen tem pelo menos 26 publicações em revistas científicas sobre o sistema primário vascular ou primovascular, em que este sistema tem um papel importante nos processos biológicos, incluindo a própria regeneração dos tecidos, inflamação, e mesmo relacionado eventualmente com metástases em cancro, não é? Este sistema primário vascular, então, existe nas artérias, nos vasos linfáticos, no encéfalo, na espinal medula, nas vísceras, no tecido conectivo, portanto, leia-se a faixa, e portanto, há aqui um desafio que tem sido posto nos últimos anos nas ciências morfológicas que estudam a morfologia, um novo desafio, numa nova teoria que inclua o sistema primário vascular, na medida em que o sistema primário vascular integra características e aspectos do sistema cardiovascular, do sistema imunitário, neuroimune, neuroendócrino, e portanto, eventualmente estas novas teorias do sistema primário vascular estabelecem uma relação e uma ligação comum que pode abrir potencialidades e novas possibilidades para o tratamento, vários tratamentos, incluindo o osteopático, na integração de abordagens, desde abordagens linfáticas, cranianas, viscerais, faciais, tecido conectivo, e portanto fornecer estas pontes de ligação e de conexão entre tecido conectivo, entre o crânio, entre o sistema nervoso, entre o sistema neuroimune, neuroendócrino, e isto depois naquilo que explica várias doenças, patologias ou disfunções no corpo humano. E, portanto, vamos passar à conversa com o Dr. Jorgen. Então vamos passar, como dizia, então, à conversa com o Dr. Jorgen. Já tentei aqui o apelido, já me ensinou várias vezes, mas o meu cérebro não consegue dizer o apelido. Bem, osteopata, mestrado, doutorado, professor Dr. Jorgen, e vamos falar, como eu disse anteriormente, do sistema primovascular, um sistema biológico único e uma mudança no paradigma médico. Vamos falar então aqui do diagnóstico, tratamento e abordagem osteopática neste novo conceito do sistema primovascular. Então, vamos passar à conversa. Deixem-me só desligar aqui a apresentação. Hi, Dr. Jorgen. I promise I tried to say your name, but no success in your last name. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation. It's a pleasure and an honor to talk to you. And you have quite an impressive curriculum. You have, at least that I counted, 26 publications on PubMed, ResearchGate, and iJump, and then one of the last 2016 was an iJump paper. And so how can I introduce Dr. Jorgen? Who is Dr. Jorgen? Can you make a short introduction of your resume, please? Better than me.
Well, I am an osteopath working at the University Hospital in Antwerp, working at the University of Antwerp in Belgium, and I'm also a lecturer in the Flanders College of Osteopathy Academy in Antwerp and in Poland, Warsaw. I'm also a lecturer at the Faculty of Medicine, teaching neurology, urology, gynecology, and especially pain physiology.
Yes. And I'm curious because you have I think it's 2016 a paper published in the IJOM, International Journal of Osteopathic Medicine, or the Journal of American Osteopathic Association, exactly, about the primal or primary or Primovascular system.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about the Primovascular system? What is the paper about? What are we talking about? This system that was discovered in 1960s by this Korean scientist, but in 2002, as you say in the paper, more awareness about the system. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
The whole issue is that in the human body we have different circulatory systems. We all know the arterial system, the venous system, we know the lymphatic system, we know the cerebrospinal fluid circulation. But it was amazing to find a total new circulatory system in literature of which we had never heard about. And for us osteopaths, circulation is rather important, I think.
Yeah. So this was actually discovered by the first papers were in 1960, as you say in your paper, from this Korean scientist. Am I correct?
Yeah, the first publications were from Bong-Han Kim, which is a Korean researcher and who published about the existence of a totally new circulatory system in the human body, and also that has been shown in all kinds of animals.
Okay. Yeah. And what was the scientist trying to show with this research? He was trying to show new vascular pathways for.
He wanted to show the existence of acupuncture meridians.
Okay.
Finally,
so basically,
he discovered a total new physiological system, and that's the importance of the whole issue. So,
why didn't we hear about the system before? Why only in 2002? I think the more awareness about. Yeah.
In the books of Bong-Han Kim, which were written in Korean language, Bong-Han Kim was always talking to use a blue dye as a tracer, but nobody knew which blue dye he used. And it took us till 2000 when Dr. Lee finally found out that trypan blue was the blue dye blue dye tracer that Bong-Han Kim was using for showing the Primovascular system, which at that time was named the Quaghebeur system. And then afterward, they changed the name, not in Quaghebeur system, but in a Primovascular system. And that's why it took so long.
Yeah. So what's the importance of the Primovascular system? What's the big deal with this primary vascular system? You mentioned meridians, and maybe the explanation of how acupuncture works. But what's really the physiological importance of this circulatory system?
Well, that circulatory system is important in pain physiology. It's important for immunological processes, and it's transporting all kinds of substances which are involved in a lot of physiological processes.
Yeah. And so we might think, okay, but that's also the circulatory system. We could be talking about the circulatory system as well. Can we say there's an established difference between a primary circulatory system and then, let's say, normal circulatory system, or what's the difference? Is there a difference between the primary one or the primovascular system and, let's say, the general circulatory system? Is there a difference we can?
It is, the primovascular system is a unique system because in a histological way, it's determined by rod-shaped nuclei. Rod-shaped. Okay. The shape of the nucleus is different from all other circulatory systems. So it's not lymphatic, it's not arterial, it's not fascia or something else. It's a unique system with a unique nucleus. And that's why it's so unique.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And this vessels, I assume that we're talking about vessels of the primary vascular system, where they can be found where in lymphatics, in the vessels, where they can be, where is the existence of this primary vascular system?
Almost everywhere in the human body, in fat tissue, but around organs. It's also found in the inside fascia. It's found inside the heart muscle, and it's around the intestines, also penetrating the small intestines. But for the other organs, no publications, to my knowledge, explains other organs that already also have primal vessels inside the organ itself. But further research maybe will show one day that primal vascular systems exist in more organs than only the heart and only inside the small intestine.
Okay. So definitely inside the heart, definitely, yeah. Primary vessels of this vascular system.
Primal vascular vessels have been found in the pericardium around the heart, penetrating through the heart muscle, going inside and floating around freely inside the ventricles and in the chambers of the heart.
Wow.
Yes.
So they penetrate the myocardium, the endocardium, inside of it. Wow, that's fascinating. And they can also be found in the nervous system, you said, no?
Yes. In the perineurium around the nerve. So also in the endoneurium, inside nerves. Wow. So it's the sciatic nerve, the common perineal nerve, and the tibial nerves in rats and other mammals. Till now, that's how far the research has been found. And especially, it has been proven in pigs and other animals that it is around the central nervous system. So around the central nervous system, there is a whole network of primovascular vessels. There are also primovascular channels inside the brain ventricles and inside the central channel of the medulla. It's changed. It's very, very rare to find a channel inside another channel. Just like it's amazing that inside a large artery, there is a second channel which is transporting other substances. It's changed. It's very rare.
It almost I remember this study a few years ago of this new lymphatic system, a lymphatic system in the brain, lymphatic system that we didn't know it existed, lymphatics, and there's parallels to this primary primovascular system in this transporters.
That's a different story. That's the story about publication about I think I have it here. Reassessing the cerebrospinal fluid circulation or hydrodynamics And that's a publication that has been published in the Journal of the Bodyworks and Movement Therapy, showing that cerebrospinal fluids is produced inside the wall of arterioles, inside this, everywhere in the central nervous system, going through the brains in the direction of venulus, going outside of those venulus in the direction of the lymphatics. And that's a total new concept that we have published, Dr. Chipley and I, in 2013. But that has nothing to do with Primovascular system.
No.
That's another publication.
Okay.
It's going to be another interview one day.
Okay. Yeah. I just remember that paper because years ago you used to read in the books that there's no lymphatics in the brain, and this was like a big deal. It's no lymphatics in the brain.
No, but there is transport, and if you put liquid inside the ventricles, it's not moving in the direction of from the lateral ventricles to the third to the fourth ventricle, then via Alushka and Magendie in the direction of the granulations. That's not true. It's going through the brain, through osmosis and diffusion in the direction of the outer side of veins. And that's what Ilyenev first in 2013 or 2012 described as the glymphatic system, going in the direction of lymphatics outside the brains.
Yeah.
But that's a different publication.
That's a different, yeah. It's just this thought of what we learn in textbooks, and then this continuous learning and continuous producing of scientists. It questions what we know by textbooks. So what exactly this primary vascular system? What does it transport? It transports in cells, but what type of cells do we know?
Important. It transports stem cells in the direction of injuries. It also transports cancer cells and immune cells. And so it's important for pain physiology, because there are also a lot of mast cells that are transported there, and substances which are important in case of inflammation, trying to restore the inflammation. These are all substances that come free in the human body when you have an injury, trying to regenerate the injury, to heal the injury. So it's important healing diseases.
Okay, so I assume then by also I kept my brain keeps referring my memory for your publications, because you publish a lot of papers about this. So from your answer, but also from the stuff that I read from your publications, is this we can infer that this primovascular system is involved in immune response, in
yes.
So therefore regeneration, inflammation, relation with tissue damage and things like
yes.
this. Yeah, probably pain, central sensitization, sensitive cell sensitization.
Yes.
Yeah, and pain response, pain response, pain phenomena.
It also transports adrenaline, noradrenaline, influencing the autonomic nervous system and the ion channels at the level of neurons. And that has been proven.
That's amazing. What is the speed of this transport of substances? Is it like the?
It's about 0.1 millimeters per second.
Wow.
It's rather a busy system, you know, which is
it's very
trafficking all substances in all kinds of directions. But that's also why it's so important in case of cancer metastasis. It explains why a prostate cancer finally ends with a brain cancer. because there are connections. It's all about linking one tissue to another.
That's fascinating. It's almost like, yeah, it's almost like when we refer to connective tissue and how can we link anatomically connect and physiologically connective tissue to everything, and this is a new connection of a system that really connects everything. So we can say the primal vascular system connects from skin to bone to the nervous system to the fascia to the organs. There's highways that connect through this primal vascular system, all these systems and
yes,
tissues. Yes,
indeed.
And do these vessels that they're not passive, so they have a lot of action. They move a lot. Yes, they have a lot of transportation.
They are moving freely. When you take it with a pancet or a probe, you can move them. They are not connected or pasted to fascia or something. They can be moved freely, but there is no publication that shows that they move from themselves. And that's where Dr. Chickley and I were looking for, if the cranial rhythmic impulse is not originating from the liquor circulation, going from the choroid plexus, etc., to the granulations of Passiona, whereas the cranial rhythm coming from. So then we thought about primovascular system. So now for all those years, every publication is about primovascular system I've been reading, and finally we have been publishing about that, trying to show that maybe the cranial rhythm was coming from that. But there is no proof of that. So there is no publication that shows that from the primovascular vessels, there is a mechanical force that is in a pulsative way, maybe the reason for cranial rhythm. So there is no proof for that. But there are electrical potentials that are transported through primovascular vessels, and that's a different issue. There are 3 frequencies that are transported through primovascular system. But again, Bong Han Kim did not explain how he measured that. So a lot of research will have to continue to find out what's really the reason and how we can measure those electrical transport through primovascular system.
Yeah, and this is the thing with science. It keeps pushing yes. boundaries and pushing our belief system, and it's more food for thought for osteopaths who yes. Who do a lot of cranial work, and they talk about the cranial rhythm and primary respiratory.
I never said that there is not a cranial rhythm. I only said
yes.
that probably the primovascular system is not the reason for the cranial rhythm, and that's all I want to say, because all the rest it's not proven. Okay, but that doesn't mean that there is no rhythm.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean it's coming from the primovascular system or the cephalorachidine fluid. It just there's a gap there between of evidence of what's really going on.
Hypothesis. It's all about hypothesis, and we need proof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so what's the since we're talking now about osteopathy field and osteopathic intervention, what is the importance, let's say, for this primary vascular system for the osteopathic diagnosis intervention?
Well,
why is it important for us?
The primal vascular system seems to be an addition to Andrew Taylor-Still's arterial rule, showing a new unique system that is important for immunological, pain and cancer and regeneration processes. So it's an addition to, I think, arterial rule. This system is poorly understood, not well known, and a lot of research has to be done in that field. But therefore, you need to be able to use nanotechnology to show those vessels, because we're talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 till 10 till 20 micrometers. It's nanotechnology we're talking about here.
And that's sometimes that's really the barrier sometimes in osteopathic evidence, in osteopathic sciences. There's only so.
You don't need a microscope to look at the moon. It takes two hands to feel a cranial rhythm. That's all.
Yeah.
Believe what you feel. That's it.
Believe what you feel. Okay. I heard that you are writing a book also. It's coming soon. No, a book, chronic pelvic pain. Is it? We mentioned this.
So it's supposed to be published, I think, in September, and it's about diagnosis and management in patients with chronic pelvic pain syndrome. So it's all about patients who are suffering from pain in structures related to the pelvis, with or without urological or gastrointestinal or sexual problems. It's a very difficult group for diagnosis and treatment, and we deal with a lot of those patients at the university hospital, where I'm also helping together with urologists, gynecologists in the diagnosis and treatment of those patients, with some success.
Yeah.
And it remains a chance to continue research about that. That's why I wrote a PhD about that issue.
Yes. And this in this intervention of chronic pelvic pain, I assume you also include the Primovascular system in this conditions, because we're talking about pain and inflammation and stuff.
There is one sentence in that book that explains that maybe the Primovascular system could be one of the explications of sensitization, or involved in sensitization, and maybe explain chronic complex regional pain syndromes in that group of patients. But we need more proof. As a researcher, I'm always looking for publications, peer-reviewed, that are showing, proving in a certain way the issue. Otherwise, I cannot really. And there are always a lot of hypotheses, which is very interesting, and which it might be a direction for further research.
But yeah. And in this regards, in this chronic pelvic pain book and the chronic pelvic pain course you also have, I also extended an invitation for you to teach a course in Portugal of this topic, chronic pelvic pain, which I feel there's a lot of interest in the area. And could you tell us a bit more about this? Could you tell us a bit more about this course?
It's about the physiology of the organs in the small pelvis, the joints around the pelvis. It's about the assessment of the. It's about the assessment of the neurological system. It's about the assessment of pain. It's about refining the diagnosis, because those patients have pain almost everywhere, and a thorough clinical assessment can help osteopaths and doctors to deal with the problem. And otherwise, we have patients with pain everywhere, and we do not know what to treat at the end.
It's a very complex area, let's say, and I do thank you so much. I know you're a very busy man. Thank you so much for this time, and please let's keep in touch, because it will be our pleasure to receive you, Professor, into this chronic pelvic pain course, and also for your book, and also for thank you for all your research and all this pushing again the science and the boundaries.
You're welcome. See you next time. Maybe where it's going to be in Porto or
Porto or Lisbon. We have to organize. Let's see. Porto or Lisbon. Either one of those two places. We can do either Lisbon or Porto. But let's see what happens. We're not sure what's going to happen with this coronavirus. Let's see. Hopefully everything will go back to normal soon. Thank you so much, Doctor.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
E foi assim a nossa conversa com o Dr. Jorgen sobre este mundo fascinante da ciência e que continua a empurrar fronteiras e conhecimento neste sistema Primovascular. A próxima semana vamos estar à conversa com o Dr. Raymond Perrin, osteopata, também doutorado, também investigador, e desta vez vamos falar sobre a síndrome da fadiga crónica, encefalomielite miálgica, a drenagem do sistema nervoso central, aquilo que é a área de especialização então do Dr. Raymond Perrin, que tem uma técnica chamada técnica de Perrin, que fala exatamente sobre isto, e portanto a importância da toxicidade, do stress, dos fenómenos inflamatórios e como estes estão interligados com as doenças, doença de Lyme, a doença de fibromialgia, a síndrome da fadiga crónica, e como o osteopata pode então intervir nestes fenómenos. Como sempre, podem acompanhar as Osteotalks no site da Osteoform, no Facebook e no Instagram, e até para a semana.